48 nations, 3 host countries, 1 trophy. The world has arrived in North America, and the stage is now set for the biggest spectacle in sports history. When the 90 minutes end, our coverage is just getting started. From the tactical masterclasses to the heartbreaking drama, we are leaving nothing behind. From the Empty the Bench Network, this is your ultimate 2026 FIFA World Cup pop-up show. It's time to take it all the way to the final whistle. Welcome to Empty the Pitch. And now, here's your hosts, Callan McClurg and Trevor Williams. Holy Toledo, it has gone final in New York, New Jersey. It is España for the second time in nation history. And for the first time since the 2010 South Africa World Cup, they are your World Cup champions. They defeat Argentina by a 1-0 final score here this afternoon. Hello again, my friends, and welcome into the Empty the Bench Network and the ECP and into our official World Cup post-match reaction show with Spain winning 1-0 over Argentina. Yours truly, Callan McClurg, here in San Diego, California, as he recap what was a wild and woolly affair from the Meadowlands here today in upstate New Jersey here this afternoon, as he leads you into the ETB Lounge coming up in roughly 2 hours and 50 minutes of time here at 6 o'clock local time, 9 p.m. Eastern. But again, folks, it is all over in after extra time, with, in fact, a final victory here for Spain, as Spain defeats Argentina by a final score of 1-0 in a match that was very much a very cagey affair. A lot of possession time, a lot of, possession, but also more importantly, though, folks, Argentina being held without a shot until the 118th minute of this game. And as I made a mention about 3 hours ago, it would come down to the first goal being scored. Spain gets that goal from Ferran Torres 39 seconds into the second period of extra time. And more importantly, Spain locks down once again, forwarding a couple of attempts towards the very end. And also more importantly as well, with a couple of chances from Argentina going over the bar or being knocked out of bounds. But either way, Spain wins 1-0 to win their second World Cup in nation history. Again, their first one in since the 2010 World Cup down in South Africa for La Roja, who, again, I made this mention, folks, before the tournament started, or actually I think at the very start of it, though, that after that first Cape Verde game that Spain played, and a lot of us are wondering, they couldn't beat Cape Verde. And I think you're all wondering out there, like I'm sure, we all were, okay, but it's a little bit of an interesting tidbit there for their first game. But only though, like a team like that, though, they get better and better and better as the tournament goes on. And again, I think we have to look at some research maybe, and maybe Nick Morganson backstage can pull up. Has there ever been another World Cup tournament where we've seen one team allow one or fewer goals in their World Cup run? Because, I mean, this has to be something that I've never seen regarding the fact about where this Spanish side, once they get a lead, I mean, they are on lockdown for defense. And that was the case again today. I do think, though, we have to give a lot of respect and credit, though, and praise for Argentina's goalkeeper. I mean, save after save after save after save. I want to pull up the final stats here, folks. And for just now joining us, Spain has won the World Cup for the second time in nation history, with this being their first win since 2010. Ferran Torres nails in the game-winning goal at the 106-minute mark of the of extra time. It holds up across the board. And also, again, about how Argentina looked beyond lifeless in this match here today. And I only say that, folks, because it took them 118 minutes to finally get a shot towards goal in this contest. And that, I think, goes back a little bit to what me and Trevor had said, though, throughout the course of this tournament, was regarding how, in fact, that Spain defensively just plays it the right way. Not what, again, not what England did way back, losing that semifinal game on Thursday, for example, or on Friday, for example. But something with Spain, though, just seemed to have had to have gone right as this entire tournament wore on. From that first stumble bump, though, to, again, how they played and rebounded and how they look. Let's go, folks, real quick. But actually, before that, we do have some small business to account for real quick. As a reminder, though, folks, again, follow the show on social media over at Empty the Pitch on Twitter and Instagram. Follow the network on social media on Twitter, IG, and TikTok, all at ETB Network. More importantly, go like and subscribe right now at youtube.com/ETB Network. We are within, folks, striking distance now with 3,000 or getting closer to 3,000 watch hours and getting closer to 2,800 watch hours within today so far. So you have our show and then the lounge coming up at 6 p.m. local time. So do us a huge solid again, folks. Go like and subscribe and go and help us get to those goals that we're trying to get to here this afternoon and here on ETB. But once more again, gang, what a final game here. Once more, Spain defeating Argentina 1-0. It's their second World Cup victory and their first one since the 2010 South Africa World Cup Final. Again, folks, mind-boggling stats here, all in favor of La Roja today. Final shots in the game, 20-3 in favor of Spain. Total shots on goal, 11-0 in favor of Spain. Total possession time, 68% to 32%. Passes completed, 803 to 445. Pass accuracy, 90 to 78 for Spain. Total fouls committed, 24-21 Argentina. Yellow cards in the game, 5-0 in favor of Argentina with the one red card, which was a massive red card to Enzo Hernandez, who tied the game, or Fernandez, I should say, who had the brilliant equalizer against England just a couple days ago, and corner kicks 9-4 in favor of Spain. So in a way, as we said, though, earlier this morning, again, I was maybe a little surprised, though, that this was such a heavily contested or heavily win prob in favor of Spain. 41% entering the game to 28% in favor of Argentina. But something, again, about how Spain played defense, and I'm going to keep going back to that, folks, throughout the course of this, hour roughly that we're here before we clear out the studio for the lounge tonight, is just for the simple notion that as soon as Spain scored that goal, it felt like this was on lock and key. Because it's been that way for the entirety right now of the entire tournament. And also, folks, by the way, if you do in fact Google the final score, they are shooting off fireworks on Google right now in the colors of the Spain flag. I just saw that right now on Google. Over 1.889 million people have already checked the final score on Google, and they're shooting off fireworks whenever you refresh the page or you visit Google. But this was a very, very interesting game. And I think I'm more shocked, I'd say. And I think a lot of soccer fans probably are shocked today. In a way, it's almost like you want to question Argentina's effort, kind of, in a way. Like they had nothing going for them whatsoever this afternoon. They looked a little lifeless out there at certain times. But even then, they did not generate a lot of offense whatsoever until the going got tough. And what was the other big point I mentioned earlier this afternoon? The longer the game went, the longer the game went, the more I think it favored Spain because of their defense, especially if they got the first goal. What did I also say, though, this morning and afternoon? When does your luck run out when you keep having to pull a rabbit out of the hat to stay alive in a game like this? So this now was the 6th game that Argentina conceded a goal. But more importantly, this was another game, though, that they fell behind and conceded the first goal. But with Egypt and England, they were able to rally back and tie and win the match, even with Cape Verde. The more you play with fire, the more you're going to get burned. And that was the big other takeaway I had from this match, though, was the longer that Argentina did not score, the more, in a way, it concerned me. Because eventually your luck is going to run out, though, when you keep playing from behind and you keep trying to pull strings and pull rabbits out of the hat to be able to win a match like this. And that was a very, unfortunate way to see how, in fact, that this match ended, I should say, because Argentina, again, they just did not generate anything whatsoever here today. And all they did though was when the going got tough. It came though when they were already behind the 8 ball. I mean, and I'm also pretty shocked and surprised though, folks, that the simple fact though too that Lionel Messi was basically a non-factor in this whole match. But once again, only until the going got tough. I think that's what's more jarring about this whole entire game is just how it seemed like Argentina seemed to just play the day. We want to also quickly thank the 143 people who have joined us here on the program here. I'd love to hear from you, though, folks. If you have any thoughts on this match on Twitter or YouTube, fire away. Give us your thoughts, your reaction to this match with Spain winning the World Cup here today over Argentina in an instant classic, I think, though, here from East Rutherford. Obviously, we can talk about the red card that Enzo Fernandez takes, though, in the 93rd minute, though, of stoppage time. I mean, with the reckless tackle while playing on a yellow card, though, for I think a very selfish foul, though, for how, again, jaw-jacking with the referee and how that whole thing went across the board. Even then, though, I think, though, a lot of credit, though, has to go out, though, to Argentina and their goaltender and their goalkeeper this afternoon. I mean, just the way that before the goal that Simone had kept that Martinez had kept Argentina in this match was phenomenal. Absolutely phenomenal. So again, folks, once more, if you're just joining us here on Empty the Pitch, welcome back inside. Callan McClurg joining you here, I should say. Sorry about that. But with that in mind, though, folks, again, a 1-0 victory for Spain over Argentina. Again, Emiliano Martinez, by the way, might be the unsung hero of this whole entire World Cup final here for Argentina. I mean, I was in awe of some of the saves that he made, though. But also, more importantly, though, for Spain, this caps off what has to be a historic World Cup for them. Just looking up a few things here real quick, folks. My apologies. So, believe it or not, folks, per my quick research here, the last time that a team allowed 2 or fewer goals in a World Cup was the 2010 Spain national team who won the World Cup. So in 2 years, or the 2 times they've won the World Cup in 2010 and 2026, they've allowed 3 combined goals in 2 tournaments. 3 combined goals in 2 tournaments. I mean, that's unbelievable. And even despite the fact that David Rea and Yon Garcia were the 2 potential goalkeepers who may have won the starting job, it's Unai Simon who was the number 1. Spain leaves the World Cup tournament with the trophy in hand and 1 goal conceded over this entire tournament. And the last time that any other team did that was Spain back in 2010. Christy Wilson says, congratulations to Spain. I mean, this is absolutely phenomenal stuff. Also, I think, though, what we've also kind of lost in the shuffle here, the setup, by the way, for that goal for Spain was incredible. I mean, Nico Williams Jr. runs down a ball down the right side, curves a ball like almost over the net. The rebound comes right out, though, and Ferran Torres is right on it to blast it home and to put Spain in the driver's seat. Which, again, ties back in, though, to my earlier thoughts from today, that this game would tilt one or both ways regarding who scored first. And the fact that Spain got that first goal, as they have done, though, every single time this tournament, they score first, that defense, they begin to swarm. And I saw that, I think further and further as they're getting closer and closer and closer to winning the title, that they began just to, zone in more on the ball. Now, yeah, did Argentina finally wake up, though? They did. But I mean, for Argentina, yeah, your goalkeeper kept you in the game. But, man, the offense was just, like, nowhere to be found. And the fact it takes you 118 minutes to get your first shot of the game. I mean, not even on target. I mean, like, first shot of the game. 118 minutes into the match. After no offense whatsoever, that's a problem. And to back my thoughts, Argentina is the first team in the last 60 years without a single shot in the first 90 minutes of a World Cup final. The great Lionel Messi takes a back seat when it counts the most for his nation. There's going to be I think there's going to be, folks, a lot of Monday morning center backing tomorrow, to use a soccer term as opposed to the American football term of quarterback. There'll be a lot of Monday morning center backing going on down in Argentina on Monday. I really think so. Obviously, again, I know that we all know that, and I've made this point of emphasis again, though, too, as well on the show this morning. I fully understand, though, that Lionel Messi, is essentially, he's the guy you zone in, that he always carries the threat of the shot, though. But Messi not being his usual aggressive self, though, especially falling behind 1-0. Only until they fall behind the 8 ball that he begins to play his game. That does not sit right, though, I think, with a lot of people. ESPN further goes in depth. Argentina held to only 17 total touches in the attacking third. Nothing whatsoever in the attacking penalty area. In layman's terms, for you casuals out there, that's like in a baseball game where no runner reaches second base. That no one goes into the attacking penalty area and they don't get any chances whatsoever. They had one good chance, I think, though, right before the game ended. And Spain's defense rallied in time to knock the ball away. So the fact that Argentina chose to stay outside the penalty area, chose to pass the ball around, possess 1-2s and quick combo passes, and not take any gamble towards getting a shot until minute 118. I think we have every right, folks, to question Argentina come Monday and come Cranium on Tuesday and come other shows here that want to try to break down this tournament, not named Callan and Trevor on ETP. By the way, how unstoppable, by the way, was Spain's defense per ESPN? Some more numbers I'm finding here, and thanks to Nick Morganson behind the scenes for producing. Spain's defense was beyond unstoppable in this tournament. They had 7 shutouts, most in a single tournament in FIFA World Cup history, and a 0.3 expected goals against, best by a champion since 1966. And by the way, how bad has Argentina's luck kind of been in a few recent finals? Ferran Torres becomes the second substitute to score the winning goal in a World Cup final after Germany's Mario Götze in 2014, which also came at the expense of Argentina. By the way, how bad was Mr. Messi in today's game? The analytics say that he completed 82% of his passes, went 1 for 5 on accurate long balls, 1 for 5 on accurate crosses, a 0.04 expected goals, no chances created, no shots on target, and no shot and no goals, and also no shots in total. In what might perhaps be the final World Cup ever for one Lionel Messi, I don't see him going out like that. But something definitely happened here with Argentina. And I agree, Christy, that Messi had a bad game today. And Christy, what's the other big thing I've been kind of saying, though, throughout the course of the tournament? Teams and players save their worst game for the worst day. Team USA, for example, with Belgium. The worst game on the worst day to have the worst game for Argentina came when it counted the most. Here today. And for Lionel Messi to be a non-factor, and then Argentina having to play with 10 men, didn't help the cause, though, too. And even when they were behind, though, and they were down by one, and being down 10 men, I thought they actually did a pretty decent job, though, attacking. But it led to nothing. It led to absolutely nothing over the course of that last half of the game. So with the World Cup officially over, Kylian Mbappe is your Golden Boot winner, folks, with 10 goals, for those wondering. Messi will finish in second place in the Golden Boot with 8. Erling Haaland with 7 for Norway to round up the top 3. Once more, folks, as we approach the half an hour mark here of our show today, once again, folks, Callan McClurg back with you here on ETP. Rounding out our World Cup coverage against Spain over Argentina, 1-0. Ferran Torres game-winning goal in the early parts of extra time here this afternoon. 1-0 the final. Spain wins their second World Cup in country history, doing so over Argentina, who again, a very much bad day at the office here for Argentina, where again Emiliano Martinez, by the way, has set a new record, folks. 10 saves for Emiliano Martinez, the goalkeeper for Argentina. But in the end, though, it is the Ferran Torres game winner, 1-0 the final score, that wins the game for Spain. And the last good chance, though, that Argentina had, though, was after a corner kick in the final minutes of stoppage time. But Giuliano Simone shot the ball over the bar and out of play. It would have been 2-0, though, if Ferran Torres' second goal was not ruled an offside position from the ball from Lamine Yamal. But was called back, though, on a offside flag. And again, the setup, though, for Spain with that goal was beautiful, with Yamal laying off Pedro Porro for the first cross in. It goes to Nico Williams near the byline. Then a nifty little header down to Torres in the box. And then Torres smashed into the upper portion of the net, though, and then kicked over the corner flag in celebration. But also, Nico Williams also may have put Spain up before we went to extra time, though. Williams had thought that he had broken the deadlock, though, as Porro's bouncing cross came off the Argentinian goalkeeper Martinez and fell to Williams, who put it into the open net, though. But the referee, Slavo Vinicic, ruled that Mikel Merino fouled Nicolas Otamendi when they came in, when the ball had bounced off of when the ball had come in. They even had to zoom in on where that foul actually happened. We have a quote, by the way, from the World Cup hero, Ferran Torres. who tells reporters, I found myself in a bottomless pit and I could not see a way out. That was the moment when I decided to work with a psychologist. I lost my confidence. Everything was affecting me, from the lowest of lows in football to scoring the goal to win his nation the World Cup, open and close quote. I mean, I kind of, folks, said that a little bit, though, reminiscing a bit on the earlier show this morning about, the death of Andres Escobar, about how a whole nation pinned the loss for Colombia that year on one player. And this is, again, another athlete who, again, says, hey, there's pressure to play on us, or to play in general. I mean, yes, this is a kid's game and whatnot, but there's still a lot of pressure to get a spot on the roster, stay on the roster, work and work your way into a game, though. As a reminder, Torres, folks, was a substitute, scoring the biggest goal probably in his entire life this afternoon. Torres, to no surprise though as well, just announced was named the man of the match for the World Cup Final for the winning goal for Spain. Most importantly, Spain become the first nation ever to hold the men's and women's World Cup trophies at the same time, dating back to when the women won back in 2023. So for right now, the kings and queens of international football reside in Hispania. I would love, though, if somebody could link me. Though I'm going to go look on Twitter as well. I got to see some video that I would love to see some video to put on the air of downtown Madrid to see how lit that they are back over in Madrid right now. Once more again, folks, 1-0 the final score for Spain over Argentina to win the FIFA World Cup, the second time that they've won it, though, in nation history. Argentina, again, saving their worst game for the worst possible time. Most importantly, could there be some talk of there being a bit of a dynasty now for Spain? Spain, dating back to 2008 and 2012, 2 Euros and a World Cup. Within the last 3 years, a Nations League title, a Euro title, and 2 World Cups, men's and women's, and counting. Again, right now, international footy runs through Hispania. Yeah, Christy, I agree. I believe that Barcelona's going crazy, too. You know what? I think what's also a bit of a catch-22 is also, how does FC Barcelona feel as well that they had players both win and both lose when they have players on their respective club winning and losing? And as I mentioned, though, Emiliano Martinez, with 10 saves, broke the record for the most saves in a men's World Cup final, dating back to 9 saves that was made. So with 10. And again, in no way, folks, is this the fault whatsoever of Emiliano Martinez for Argentina. I mean, he was absolutely playing phenomenal back there until the levee finally broke. And that's unfortunate. So some more awards, folks, are being given out right now in New York, New Jersey. Spain's captain Rodrigo has won the Golden Ball Award. We can confirm that right now, watching it here on Fox still. Unai Simon, of course, goalkeeper of the tournament. And Pau Cabarsi also winning an award as well for youngest rookie debut. And Kylian Mbappe, again, wins the Golden Boot. 10 goals for the French star. And he becomes the first two-time winner in World Cup history, winning it 4 years ago and winning it here. So back-to-back Golden Boots for one Kylian Mbappe. Unai Simon, though, man, I'll tell you what a story he is. One goal between him and his backline and his defenders for the entire tournament. So just to clarify real quick, Pau Cabarsi won the award for the Young Player Award for Spain. Just for those that were wondering here per Fox. And the World Cup, by the way, was also given out and brought out by Sergio Ramos of the 2010 Spanish national team who won the World Cup before it went into the hands of both presidents and then to the team. Just now watching the reaction, by the way, on Twitter. Again, we can't show you folks, Ellie, because of the copyright rules here with Fox Sports and FIFA. I mean, I guess we could show this one, though. We do have some video here from courtesy of Fox Sports from Madrid, as I was asking about that. Well, we do have this going on over in Madrid. The Norway row is now over in Madrid. I absolutely love it. So even with Norway not even in it still, the row chant lives on forever, and I think it becomes a huge part now of soccer lore here. I absolutely love it. Unbelievable. By the way, for those wondering, it is currently 12:41 in the morning Monday over in Madrid. And I can guarantee you nobody's going into work tomorrow and that the bars will be open 24 hours to celebrate the World Cup victory. But yes, currently 12:41 in the morning on Monday, July 20th over in Madrid. It is currently 96 degrees still currently 83 degrees back in Madrid, Spain. We do have some photos that I believe we could share courtesy of Reuters. People is taking it all in right now. We'll just show you one quick photo here real quick from some of the scenes right now back in Madrid from Reuters. Just everybody in absolute disbelief in a way. And the party being on now back in Madrid again, folks. Spain over Argentina, 1-0 the final score. For Spain to capture their second Men's World Cup in the last 16 years. I agree, Christy. Everyone in Spain will be so hungover. They will be. But again, Spain winning, folks, 1-0 over Argentina to win the World Cup here this afternoon. Again, just to kind of reiterate once more, folks, again, I'm not really surprised about how this game kind of went, though, at the beginning in a feel-out process, kind of a slow poke pace, though. But I don't think I'm being wrong about overemphasizing about how important it was for somebody to score first, because as I made the mention, though, earlier today, that the first goal being scored, though, for Spain would have in a way felt like it was going to be over because of how their defense swarms, how their defense presses, how their defense goes to the ball, though, and they keep everyone in check. But more than anything else, I also would have said, though, like I said earlier, though, too, just the simple fact again, though, too, just about how Argentina's offense chose not to do a whole lot here. I think I'm just more floored about that whole thing more than anything else. One of my other group chats is going crazy. One of my friends actually is moving to Barcelona for work. And he just wrote in, España campeones de Europa y del mundo. He actually says, I have my Spain visa appointment tomorrow morning at the consulate, and they're all going to be so happy and probably hungover. Unreal. Also, by the way, do you, I mean, this is the other thing I love, though, folks. USA Today has already written an article. Ferran Torres jerseys are now in high demand on the FIFA World Cup shop, apparently, per USA Today, that they're now flying off the shelves. I mean, it'll cost you $130 for it, but they're already flying around here. So actually, my apologies. So actually, now with the World Cup win, now people are buying all the Yamal jerseys off the racks. I also want to just read off, folks, the ending results here for Spain. Spain went 7-0-1 in 8 matches at this year's World Cup. They drew, win, 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 win. 0-0 with Cape Verde, 4-0 with Saudi Arabia, 1-0 with Uruguay, 3-0 Austria, round of 32, 1-0 over Portugal, round of 16, 2-1 Belgium, quarters, 2-0 France, semis, Argentina, 1-0 finals. 7 wins, no losses, 1 tie. My goodness gracious. But once more, again, folks, welcome in here again. If you're just joining us here for Empty the Pitch, our post-match recap. What a game. What a tournament. Unreal. Spain has won the World Cup again from New York, New Jersey by a 1-0 final score over Argentina in an instant classic. Ferran Torres game-winning goal early on in the second period of in the second quarter half period of extra time here this afternoon to cap off a just utterly dominant Spain run to the World Cup final here today. So, folks, again, as a reminder, coming up here in roughly just about 3 hours' time at 6 p.m. Pacific time, we will, in fact, folks, bring you the ETB Lounge in its full entirety, as usual, with myself, Nick DiMartino, and our cast of characters to recap the World Cup with other big headlines in the sports world here this afternoon. So make sure to come back and join us here for the final part of our triple header here across Empty the Bench here on Twitter and on YouTube. Just want to get that out there here real quick. But again, folks, not much else I can really say other than the fact that this was, again, that the final, I think, lived up to all the billing. Again, young star, though, in Yamal versus, one of the best of all time in Lionel Messi. And it's Ferran Torres, again, off the bench, winning the game for Spain. I mean, this match had everything you could have asked for it and then some here today. But again, folks, we'll be here for roughly, I'd say, the next roughly 10 to 15 minutes here before we do, in fact, sign off to get ourselves time to get ourselves ready for the upcoming show at 6 o'clock this evening here back on ETB. But a absolutely phenomenal way to end the World Cup. I mean, forget all the political nonsense and the interventions. Away from a few bumps in the radar, and I know that yes, we can have our thoughts on the halftime show. I went back to watch the Padre game during halftime because I knew the halftime show was going to be long. Again, that was one way of the World Cup Americanizing the game for one day. That will never happen again whatsoever in a World Cup. But once again, folks, just real quick to reiterate once more, the worst time again for Argentina to not show up was today. I mean, just something for Argentina just wasn't there. And again, I think it once more goes to my thoughts, though, from earlier today, that Argentina had all these like miracle finishes, though, leading up to the final. All that eventually leads, all that eventually will lead to this thing happening where you can't make that comeback. I just thought, though, that Argentina's offensive attack was putrid all game. To not get a shot on goal or a shot in general until the last 2 minutes of stoppage time down by a goal. It made no sense whatsoever. That what brought you to the dance, though, was your goalkeeping, Lionel Messi, and your offense. And Spain finally found the formula to shut down this Argentinian side once and for all. And that's why I was really, kind of in a way harping on that point, though, on the pre-show this morning. That you can only, again, have so many late game and late match rallies like that happen. That once you do it again, a better team is not going to let you do that. And sadly, Argentina found out the hard way at the worst possible time here this afternoon. And I really, again, folks, do not think it is fair if we're going to sit here today and criticize Emiliano Martinez, the goalkeeper for Argentina. I mean, he played his ass off today, and he gave his team a chance to win, and his offense did not show up whatsoever. And I find that very baffling. I really do. But once again, I still think, though, like I said, though, that as soon as if Spain scored first, like I've been saying all day, that in a way felt like the ball game was over. Because Spain just tactically, defensively, they do something, totally different. I mean, they are all over the attacking team, though, whenever they're on defense. And Simone didn't have a whole lot to do this whole game because Argentina did not get a shot until so late in the match. He was only tested 3 times the whole game. That should tell you right there about how great this Spain defense was the entire tournament. That only 3 shots on goal were registered towards goal. I mean, just what a phenomenal way, though, to end a amazing World Cup, though. To have the game go to extra time, to have the goal be scored by Ferran Torres, though, who came in as a substitute, and for Yamal to one-up Messi in 2026. Absolutely amazing finish to a great tournament. And again, I really, as much as people will want to cast blame on Argentina, I mean, they got nothing to be ashamed of. I mean, it was like Christy Wilson said, though, in the chat box, that it was a bad game. And like I said, though, and like I also said, though, during certain parts of this tournament, sometimes your worst game comes at the worst possible time. Again, we can talk about Team USA with Belgium, and right here talk about Argentina playing a very good Spain side. And yeah, Christy, I agree. And again, it's not because I'm being a soccer homer and I speak a foreign language to a lot of people on here talking soccer on this network when it comes to the sport and how much I love it and stuff like that. But like I made the mention, though, Christy, it was about the world coming to America and North America and experiencing our culture away from all the stuff happening that doesn't involve soccer. Again, all the stories of the people who, again, were seeing Taco Bell for the first time, or Buc-ee's, or all that, people coming together for the betterment of a sporting event to show that the world is still somewhat on its feet and not fully going to hell in a handbasket. Again, from what the Brazil fans did in Times Square, Norway and their fans, the Scotties out drinking all of Boston. I mean, this was a phenomenal last few weeks. And I hope, though, again, folks, as we said before we do, in fact, wrap up here shortly, as I made this mention, folks, earlier today, this morning, that, again, on behalf of myself and Trevor Williams, again, we are very much grateful and appreciative, though, again, to Nick and the team here for letting us bring this pop-up show to you, though, for the entire tournament. I know we tried one during the Olympics, and it really didn't quite catch on because there was just so much stuff to recap almost every day and every week. But it's been very, again, folks, a privilege and honor to bring this program to you folks here. As we've already said, though, folks, we're not going to be going away forever. We're going to be taking, though, some time away now as we get towards August, though, and reassess where we stand right now within the confines of the network program schedule. Because, again, as I made the mention earlier, if you're just now joining us here, we have been occupying some off-season time slots for the NFL and for college football and college athletics, though. So you will not see us, folks, in this time slot on Saturdays or Sundays starting once college football and the NFL resume operation. We do, though, folks, plan on doing social content-driven programming for you folks when it comes to EPL recaps, MLS recaps, NWSL recaps, all that good stuff, though. But for right now, with the studio coverage, coverage that you've seen here, though, over the last several days and weeks, and for that matter, all of our Empty the Pitch programming here, that will be in a major reduced role, though, once we get towards August 21st and the EPL season does kick off at the stage that we're at here and right now. But to recap once more, folks, Spain over Argentina by a 1-0 final score. Again, Ferran Torres, the game-winning goal at the 106-minute mark, though, for Spain, locking up their second World Cup since the 2010 tournament down in South Africa. And more importantly, they now hold both World Cup trophies on both the women's and men's side until the 2027 Women's World Cup comes your way for the Women's World Cup coming up down in South America next year. There has, folks, been a small development, though, at the very end of the match involving a post-game scrap which seems to be very common after a game concludes, though. Leandro Paredes apparently took a swipe at a few of the players for Argentina, for Spain when the match concluded. I don't like hearing that sort of stuff. I get it, though. It's heat in the moment and that these things happen, but it may be a final game. You got to lose fair and square. I don't like hearing about post-game confrontations happening. That, of course, happened with Jude Bellingham again clocking one of the Argentinian players after the game was over last week or this past week. I don't like that whatsoever. I get it, heat in the moment, whatnot, but still, not a good look, sadly. Not a good look whatsoever. With that, though, folks in mind, we thank you so much for joining us here across Empty the Pitch. We are going to be cutting out here early, much like our last show, to get ourselves prepped for the ETB Lounge coming up here in just over 2 hours of time. But we're going to be here till about but we've already crossed our hour mark because of the fact we came on right when the game concluded, though. But again, folks, a sincere, heartfelt thank you and appreciation from myself and Trevor Williams, who again could not be here today because of his work schedule. We, folks, will again still be active on social media. So again, follow us right now over at Empty the Pitch on Twitter and on Instagram. And more importantly, again, follow the network on socials, again, on Twitter, IG, and TikTok, all at ETB Network. And more importantly, like and subscribe over at youtube.com/ETB Network. Again, as we get ever so closer to 3,000 watch hours. And we're hopeful to get there very, very soon as time does go on here. But with that, again, folks, in mind, we will see you back here, folks, on Empty the Bench in 2 hours for the ETB Lounge coming up at the top of the 9 p.m. Eastern window, 6 p.m. Pacific time window back here on the West Coast, folks. Until then, what a final. But again, Spain over Argentina 1-0. Final score from New York, New Jersey here this afternoon, folks. Until later today, we'll see you next time. And thank you again for joining us here on Empty the Pitch. Have a great day. Bye-bye.